Hi everybody. So I've just got a brief updated video here because it came to my attention that there were some updates to Photoshop from the time that I previously recorded the other videos, and there is a specific area that maybe functions a little bit differently than it did in the videos that I've been sharing, so I wanted to use this as an addendum to the masking portion of the assignment. I've got a prior student sample of an older project present here, but they were using the same process that you're using on the current project. They were using paths to produce their mask. This one could use a few less points, but I think you get the point. And there's a mask produced here. Something worth keeping in mind. Previously, the way that you could alter your mask is you could right click on the mask or double click the mask, and there was an option to refine the mask in the right click panel. That is no longer visible, but there is an option called mask options. You can also get to this by double clicking on the mask. So I'll open up properties. You have a small window here that allows for you to edit minor properties pertaining to this layer. You'll also notice that up here you're going to see a differentiation between the hue saturation, so the adjustment layer has its own properties, the mask has its own properties as well. Let me zoom in a touch. So if we look at the shirt, we can adjust the density, which is how much or little is masked out, so you can see that instead of blacking out the backdrop, it is turning it to a gray shade. You probably won't use that much in this instance. Feather is also present here, which lets you soften the edge of the mask a touch. But select and mask is going to be something that you're also going to see quite a bit. And if I click that, it opens up its own window. You'll notice that the whole image turned pink. This is because of the view mode. So what I want to do is I want to set it to, not overlay. I want to set it to on layers. So basically what this means is any changes, you're going to see it affect the layers that are beneath it. Each of these does something a little bit different. One pulls the marching ants up, which can be really helpful. On black darkens the image, on white lightens the image. But 9 times out of 10, I prefer using the on layers method just because it gives you a sneak peek of what the changes you're going to make are going to do. So that you can alter in the view mode. You can also show the edge or show the original image before you make edits, but I would just leave the view mode set to on layers. Edge detection lets you alter whether or not the edges feather. You can kind of see the pink came out here a little bit more, but I will leave that set to 0. But a lot of these options, smooth, feather, contrast, shift, edge, these all are going to function the same as they did in the initial dialog box for refining your edges. It's just called select and mask now. It's just got a slightly different name, and it opens it up in its own window. You do have the ability to paint in and alter some of these elements that you didn't quite have before. So for instance, if I wanted to go in and paint additional pink into an area, I could do so. I hit undo. I can also use, there's a refine tool which I haven't really used yet, but it can allow for you to make slight changes to the edges where perhaps things need to be altered a little bit. But the brush tool works very similar to the paintbrush tool. This just has it happen in a different window. Adding to the selection means you're going to paint something pink. The minus sign lets you subtract from a selection, so you're removing from what's there. So this just gives you a separate way to fine-tune the masks that you're creating as you go. to make quick and easy changes. This just sort of separates it into a separate box. Once you're finished with any changes, output settings might be minimized, but just make sure that it's set to layer mask. Because it will automatically update your mask. If you have it set to selection, it will change the marching ants but not apply these changes to your assignment. So leaving it set to layer mask is going to be important. And I'll click OK, and it opens back up the rest of Photoshop for you to use. So I do apologize. Do keep in mind that there is a change, and well, both fortunately and unfortunately, because the Creative Cloud does make updates continuously, there at times may be slight discrepancies between terminology or between the way certain areas appear. I will do my best to go in and tweak any quiz questions that perhaps pertain to elements like this, but they don't really send out a notice when they make changes, so sometimes it comes as a surprise to me as well. So bear with me on that. I do plan on updating videos that pertain to this particular issue, but if I don't have the opportunity, just keep in mind the process is a little bit different, but you still have the ability to go in and make changes. The names are what have altered, and some of the functions look a little different. I hope that this helps. If you have any additional questions pertaining to this issue, please shoot me an email, let me know. I'd be more than happy to make supplemental videos if it's necessary to help your understanding.